Isn't this all about networking and less so about skills? All right, George, this is very black and white thinking. And black and white thinking makes it easier for you to understand the world, but it's not where the truth lives. The truth lives in the gray. And so the problem with black and white thinking is like, okay, it's a lie that you tell yourself, but you're falling victim to your own lies, all right? If it were about networking, like you could be the dog walker to the head of a motion picture studio. For the past 3 years, you've walked Fido, kept Fido alive, showed Fido affection and love, and then one day you have a script and you give it to the owner of Fido, the head of the studio. Do you really think they're gonna greenlight your movie just because you walked Fido? All of us in Hollywood are one wrong move away from never working again. That's not an exaggeration. And this is how I pay my bills, right? How I put food on the table. Like, I don't want to lose my job. So no one wants to help people. People want you to help them. So if someone's going to give you an opportunity, it's not because they're trying to help you. It's because they think you can help them. Understand that, okay? And by the way, the word networking, in my opinion, it's gross because it's transactional. It's about, you give me this, I'll give you that. No one likes to be networked. I can smell a mile away when someone's trying to network me, and I'm not exceptional in that regard. I think everyone can, and people run from that. They can sense it. Let me show you a picture of somebody here, okay? You may recognize this guy. This is Phil. He's the co-host of my podcast sometimes. He helps out on my webinars. He's in my inner circle. But who is he? He's just some dude I met years ago, right? My wife at the time had a website. She hired a company to develop it. It was a complicated site. This business in Utah overpromised and underdelivered, and he was working there at as an SEO. And he was a little disgusted by the way his bosses kind of screwed us over. And he contacted us and he said, hey, I'm going to make this right on my own dime. I'm not going to tell my bosses. I'm not going to get paid for this, but I'm going to fix this because I just don't like what they did to you. What an honest guy. He's helping us out for months, right? At some point, my wife discovers he wants to be a screenwriter. He's living in Utah. And she's like, oh, talk to my husband. And so I got on the phone with him and I'm telling him everything I know the way I tell you guys everything I know. And I said, you got to move to LA if you want to be a screenwriter. He moves to LA. And then at some point, I hear of a job opening as a production assistant. Now, when they hire PAs, they're not hiring, it's not 100 people. It's not the first 100 people that I know get the job. It's one opening. That's it. Who's the first person I think of? The guy who's in my inner circle, who's been helping me out for years. And I recommended for the job. He interviews. But at that point, I wasn't doing him a favor. You know, I'm not going to put my neck on the line. I recommended him because I knew he was honest and loyal and trustworthy and smart and all those things. And I knew if he got the job, he'd make me look good. And so here he is. He got the job. Now, a couple years later, he just finished a job where he was associate producer on an A24 show. Not bad. But this wasn't a favor. Like, don't diminish all his accomplishments just because he knew me. That's not enough, man. He earned all this. And he wasn't networking to me, by the way, at all. This guy grew up, I should mention, he grew up in foster care. He couldn't even network his own parents. So don't say it's all about networking. It diminishes all of his accomplishments and other people who've made successes out of themselves. Yes, it's important to know people and to be smart and talented and loyal, but he did the work. He moved to LA and he made it his business to know people and to be a good person and to get the job. So I just don't like the black and white thinking, you know? Because it makes you a victim as well. I don't know anybody, so it'll never happen for me. Get to know people. Get to know people. Come to LA where your neighbor works in the business. Do nice things for them, and maybe you'll be repaid somehow. And if not, well, you've been a good person along the way. What's the harm in that? All right, for more, keep following me at Michael Jamin Writer. And I'll tag Phil if you want to follow his adventures in Hollywood. Ooh, adventures.